Well, hello again.
Hello again.
I'm back here at UB with Jocelyn.
Hey.
This is the last time we're gonna get to hang out for a while. So,
It's just 2 weeks.
we had to make the most of
It's
it.
3 weeks. It's
3 weeks. This is the last time we're gonna be in person together for a while. So
Just 2 weeks.
we had to make the most of it. So we're going to recap what we did tonight. And I think we kind of crushed it. We came in with a few questions.
We had limited time, so
Yeah, there was limited time. So we had to kind of actually really be on it, and we managed to do it. So you can see the board behind us is like very, very full. Lots of colors on there, which is awesome.
that's because I took notes.
John,
Colton writes the whole thing in black.
I will write it, all of it in black. I will buy a big pack of black markers and just use all of those up. But
Then last time he was writing the board and it was all black, and I was like, "Why did you get the colors?" And he's like, "I got the colors for you because you like to draw pictures and stuff." And I was like, "That's actually so sweet."
she
He's
does
your
like,
sweet buddy.
yeah. So we got to use the colors today. And the reason we had colors was just different, answers for different questions and keeping track of storyline stuff. And it's been really helpful. And I think that we've managed to really narrow down a lot of really difficult things that we needed to focus on.
And one or two that have been following us for a couple weeks that have been like, okay, we need to find an answer to this.
Finally found the answer, and I am satisfied with all the answers. Like, there's not anything. Last week when we were here, there was stuff on the board where I was like, we're gonna come back to this. Like, we have like a tentative answer, but we're gonna have to like circle back because I'm still not feeling great about it. I actually feel like pretty much everything that's on the board right now is probably going to like end up almost as is in the
You're welcome.
yeah. So couldn't have done it without her.
But I feel like
yeah.
it's also about the thing of like when you're stuck on a problem, when you're trying to figure out in the story, and you're just like spinning about it and being like, I need to find an answer. Like, you probably are not going to find an answer on that day or in that moment, but if you let it simmer for a while, and I think it's about like trusting in the answer is going to come. It's just like not right now.
Yeah, I think that's been so much of this process has literally just been like allowing myself to be like, some days are not going to be as good as others, and that's fine, and I'm okay with that. I'm like seething as I say this, but like it's okay to not have like a great day every day. Luckily, the past couple times that we've been together, we have had like, I think, great days, and we've gotten a lot done. After all was said and done, and I organized all the notes from last time, and I went through our audio recordings and everything, we ended up with 7 scenes completed in one day last week. I don't know how much it is from tonight. I think it's probably in the 4 to 5 range at least. So it's also it's a pretty solid night compared to some of these other times that I've been like either by myself or that just like there have been times where like we ourselves have only done like maybe 1 or 2 scenes in a night. And that's not just like with Strange Trials, that's also like with your stuff where like when we were going over it, where we would just have, sometimes you just kind of hit a wall and
You're
you're
just like stuck on one, or
Yeah.
you're figuring out like one element and you're really deep diving into like, what is that fully about? Versus, I feel like the last 2 times too, it was helpful because you came in with like
questions
4
prepared.
to 6 questions
Sure.
of like,
This
these
is
are
what
things
we're
we need
focused
to
on.
figuring out. And I feel like, because in the first few times, especially because there's so many storylines, half of it was just me getting a handle on like, what?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but the green list that's all the storylines for the season.
He just kept going. I was writing them down and I was like,
She's like, oh, real quick, I'll just make a note of all the storylines so we can decide which one we're going to focus on here.
and then I was like, on the 13th one, I was like,
just kept going.
okay, gosh.
But yeah, so this is by far the most intricate, complex, and just like expansive season that I've done of the show. And it's good. I feel like I should be doing that every season. Like I should always feel like it's like a bigger, not necessarily like a bigger season, but like I am pushing myself, like I should never feel
Such
like
a capitalist mindset.
like
Exponential growth.
well, but not like
down.
earning money off of it. Just like the story itself, I should always, as an artist, feel like I'm pushing myself. That's my point, right? Like if you don't feel like you're pushing yourself, then why are you doing it anymore?
I don't know if I really agree with that mindset though.
I think that you
I
should.
respect it for some people it works, but
You should
for
be
me-
treading new ground every time. Does that sound a little
But
better?
sometimes when you tread old ground, you find new things.
You can, but I feel like you should be bringing new elements to it. Like you shouldn't just literally be doing the same thing. Like I don't want to have like a template where like I know this plot beat and this plot beat and this plot beat. These all happen every time I do a story, so I just have to kind of fill in those.
Yeah,
You know,
I
like
don't-
I
I
kind
don't
of want it to
wanna-
be more freeform than that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I think that to me sounds more like, like like I saw a take about like romance novels, and they were like it was like a criticism of like, oh, all romance novels are like the same. And then the person was like, yeah, I like this format and I want this reliable. It's like reduces my anxiety or whatever to like know that.
To have like a familiarity.
And so I feel like for some authors, they like have this formula they're writing to because that's what an audience wants. But I feel like that to me is different from the story having to get more complicated every time. I feel like you've written different stories of similar complication levels that were just about different things. And they were.
I mean, yeah, I guess I don't mean that it like literally needs to get more complicated every time, and that's just like an aspect of this story. But I think that
It's like the conspiracy theory meme.
Yeah, I need more yarn. No, I think what I'm saying is like I should always feel like this story is different from the other stories.
Yeah.
You know, like it should feel like something new, and like not even just like in a storytelling sense, but like in like, I don't know, if I was a painter, if I had like that type of artistic talent, I wouldn't want to just use the same types of acrylic paints every time. Like, you know, sometimes you want to like mix in some new type of method or whatever, or technique, and, you know, try watercolor, like whatever, even if that's not what you're comfortable with, just to see what comes out. And like sometimes that's kind of what happens with this is it's like, well, I haven't done something like that before. So like, let's just sort of like ask that question and see what happens. And then we end up with like a really intricate, very intricate, deep dive into something that was kind of just a throwaway comment that in perhaps like a different story would have stayed as that throwaway comment. But by taking the time to be like, no, let's actually see where this goes, you kind of end up with something that is very unique. And you could start with, say, a beat sheet or a template or like a normal like formula basically. And I think you can still find a way to make it a little bit new each time.
Yeah.
And find your own way to those same beats in a different route, basically, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's all.
You are built like that too, because there's so many times where I'm like, well, what if this happened? And I think it's a great idea. And he's like, well, actually in season 3, episode 15, I did that already. And I'm like, the amount of times that's happened, I was like,
it has actually,
So
and I don't
my
want to repeat
ideas,
myself.
okay.
That's the thing. So I'm
you're already
actively
like
trying to avoid repetition of beats, except in one particular case in this season, there are 2 beats that are repeated and it was bothering me. And I finally realized by letting it sit and by coming, circling back a little later and just having my mind work on in the background, that if I put a secondary or like a tertiary, whatever, another point in between them, I could make both beats work as they are.
Yeah.
And I think that was really clever.
because it does make it different.
Yeah.
It does make the second one different.
It makes it more of like an internal thing rather than like just like a plot driven thing. And I think that it works on more levels now, and I'm very happy with it. And so like that comes from like sitting with it, but that's also something where I would not have been satisfied with it if I had just done the same thing again. I want to do something different each time.
Yeah.
And I think that we managed to do that. It's not like a physically plot-wise different thing in like a huge sense. Like it is fundamentally the same plot point, but there's character reasons for why it's different. And I think that helps a lot. I think I'll call it here, and I'll see you when I make another clip. And I'll see her in a couple weeks. Well, hello again. Back up at UB, and it is early evening, and oh my God, there's a beautiful sunset right now. Like I'll show you, this is what it looks like from the window that I have. I just constantly fall in love with this place over and over and over. I will never get over being at this school. I miss having gone to college here. I miss taking classes here. I miss all my friends that were here. I miss living on campus. I miss everything about this place so much. This was the one thing that when I was in LA, I still was like, oh man, if I could go back to Buffalo, it would just be so I could go to UB. Like that is what I miss the most about this area. And so I'm really glad I get to come back here regularly now. and also to be coming back here regularly with a purpose, because I get to work on a story that I'm really proud of right now and am making a lot of progress on. So the last clip with Jocelyn, I finally finished going through everything that we had in the transcripts, transposing it onto the templates and stuff and the plot grids and everything, and it turned out we did 6 scenes in that one night. So we are crushing it when we work together on this stuff. So I'm down to exactly 50 scenes left out of 90. So we're coming up on the halfway point for the planning process of season 6, and I'm really happy with how quickly it's gone. Like, it's just maybe we're coming up on like a month and a half, I think. I think I started like the last week of February, so it's currently April 9th. So about a month and a half to do roughly half of this gigantic season that is just beyond anything that I've done before. That's crazy. So really, really happy with all of that. Today, Jocelyn's not going to be around for a couple weeks, so I'm going to be working on it by myself. So I think progress will probably go a little bit slower for the next couple weeks, but I'm still going to work on it and hope that I can, start figuring out some of these subplot things, because there are a lot of subplots, as I discussed in the last clip, and many of them are probably just going to be like maybe 4 to 5 scenes across the entire season. So it's not like a huge thing, but the list of subplots is itself pretty huge. And I do feel like I need to start actually chipping away at some of those and figuring out, like, okay, what exactly are they learning from this thing? What are they getting out of this? What scenes are we seeing with this? Which characters are involved in which subplots? Because I can't have every character involved in every one, but every character needs to have something going on. So I think that there's a lot to kind of focus on there. So we'll see if that's the direction that I go in. I don't have any questions written on the board yet, so whatever comes out of the marker when I go to write, that's the direction we'll go in. I'm so glad I get to be here tonight. I'll just say that, and then I'll get to work. Here we are, a few hours later. You'll see the board isn't actually like super full today, but I got the things done that I wanted to get done. So last time when Jocelyn and I were up here and we worked on answering a whole slew of questions, one of the questions that we answered, we actually went so deep down this rabbit hole of like figuring all the details out, and we came to a really satisfying answer that I didn't realize that we actually answered a totally different question, not the question we originally intended to answer. So I went back today and I had to like actually hunker down and try to answer that. And I'm saying answer so much, it's not even a word anymore. But anyway, I figured out what the truth of that situation was, and I'm feeling good about that, because it worked out in a way where it was coming from an episode. It was going to be adding a scene to an episode that is actually the first episode. There's one episode now that actually does not need any more scenes added to it. It already has enough in it to be a full scene, or to be a full episode. So I don't want to add too much more to it. And so I was kind of nervous going into this, trying to answer this question of like, well, I know it's going to have to go in that episode and there's already so much in there, but it ends up being something that will probably happen pretty like offhandedly. It'll just be maybe a couple lines, and it will be enough of a setup for it that when we do get more information about it later, it will work as a callback and it'll do what it needs to do. It will count. It will be a fair thing. I don't want a character to be like, oh, this is why this thing happened, and it's something that no one has ever heard of before. Like if they're gonna like have an answer for something, it needs to be something that the audience has seen at some point. That's like something for like how I try to set up like any sort of puzzle or mystery or question or whatever, is I want to kind of play fair as much as possible. Sometimes it's hard. It's hard on my end to know if I am playing fair. I feel like I'm giving enough information and maybe I'm not. But my goal is always to do that and to make sure that it is technically guessable, like even though it will probably be very weird circumstances or whatever that you're not necessarily going to guess, but you should have the clues and the evidence and the details and whatever to potentially reach that conclusion. If you're really going through taking a lot of notes, maybe you can piece something together. Yeah, I mean, hopefully not all of it, and hopefully it's not super easy to do, but you should theoretically be able to do that. So that was what I was aiming for, is trying to set something up where when we do get the answer later on, it's not going to feel like it came out of nowhere. It's going to feel like, oh, right, okay, we have actually heard of that thing. We just didn't really pay attention to it. So I'm feeling good about that. Other stuff was, there's a different episode that has been a struggle. It has up till tonight, it had no main mystery moment in it. It was pretty barren, actually. And so I was getting a little nervous about that. This scene here, you'll obviously, that huge chunk of text on the back wall, that's it. That's I don't know if that's one scene or two scenes, but it is main mystery focused, and it does a really cool thing where we get to see a kind of random group of characters come together, which is kind of been a big thing that I've just found interesting. Is I am trying to like mix and match the characters a little bit more and find new combinations and pairings and stuff. And yeah, I do think that I did that. So I'm feeling good about all that stuff. So I am going to head home. So I'll see you guys next time I make another clip. I'm feeling great about all this so far. Okay, welcome back. It is April 14th. I don't remember the last time I did a clip. It's been a few days for sure, since I've been back on campus and been able to work on the story. But here we are again. I'm back on campus working on the story all by myself. You'll notice there's a lot less color on the whiteboard without Jocelyn around. That's just my thing. I like to, what I love about Jocelyn is she loves colors. She loves drawing like little doodles that kind of like represent the idea rather than just say the idea. So there are times when I'll go back through and I'll look at the board. Like I take a picture of the board every day before I erase it. I'll go back through and I'll look at the board to type up all the notes and stuff. And it will just be a little picture of like a flower, and I'll have to like figure out what she meant by that. And most of the time the only way I can figure it out is when I go back and listen to the actual recordings of us talking through everything. And I'll be like, oh, okay, that's what we were talking about when she was drawing this flower. Like it's so abstract, it's impossible. Whereas for me, I have to write like a complete sentence. You'll notice there's like full ass paragraphs up there. That's just my process. It's like, I don't want any confusion for future Colton. I want me to be able to understand what I'm trying to say right now. So I am as clear as possible, and I am as like specific about things and who is speaking and all that stuff. I try not to leave like sentence fragments and stuff, just because in the past when I have tried planning things out and then gone through and had to read what the plan was, and it's just sentence fragments, and it's like, okay, there's no subject here, so I don't know who mentions this thing. Like, is it this character or this character, and who are they mentioning it to? It's like a whole thing. So it's something that I try to be very conscious of now, because I've dealt with the consequences of not being clear in the past. But anyway, it's fun to work with Jocelyn, but there's some cleanup work. You got to do some cleanup work to make sure you're actually getting all the details properly documented after the fact. But the board does look a lot nicer with all the colors on it. Anyway, so here we are. All that to say, I started a little late tonight because the weather was fucking gorgeous today. It was so nice out. I don't know what's been going on. Maybe it's just Buffalo, but it's been like either sunny but 30 degrees outside, or 65 but pouring rain. And I don't know why those are the two options. It's either freezing cold and the nicest, sunniest day you've ever seen in your life, or just the shittiest fucking weather. But oh my God, I could wear shorts if I wanted to. And I'm just not used to that, because living in LA for like 8 years, every day is like sunny and warm, and we just don't get that here, I guess, until probably May. But hopefully it's coming soon. Hopefully there's a lot more days like this coming up. But anyway, I started late today because I had to walk around campus. It was so nice out. It was like just before sunset. There was a nice breeze. It wasn't too hot, and it also wasn't cold even with the breeze. The campus was full of students. It was just like, it was a vibe. It was such a vibe. And God, I love it. I love it. I love it. So sort of threw off the timing for me on this. But anyway, I got to the classroom, did my thing, and you'll notice there's not first of all, the board is not completely full. You'll also notice there's a lot of questions, which is like the single lines with a huge gap after them. Those are all the questions that I'm like still trying to figure out what the answers are. What I've been working on today was a new subplot. This is one that I came into the season knowing that I was going to put in. So this isn't like me like just trying to scramble and make up something new so that I can fill space. Like this is something that I always intended to put into the season, but I kind of had it on the back burner because I wanted to focus on the main mystery first and make sure that that is fully explored, fully, going to make sense, and be a satisfying story in its own right. And then I can add other stuff on top of that. So now that I feel like that's pretty much I would say that's like 95% where I want it to be. This is where I can start adding in other subplots to kind of flesh out the rest of the season and give characters, their own individual arcs. So this is one of the larger subplots for the season. And it's just something that, I'm just starting it today. So it's kind of a lot to take on like a whole new storyline. Unfortunately, I didn't figure out like any specific scenes today, which sucks. However, I figured out what episodes I want the scenes for the storyline to be in. And there's like 8 episodes that this is going to have, a story beat for this in it. If I figure out those scenes, that's 8 episodes, that's 8 scenes. I'm at 47 scenes left for the season to figure out. That will put me under 40. If I figure out all those scenes, it will put me under 40 for the season, which is that's a significant chunk of scenes figured out and sorted out. So yes, it is a little frustrating to kind of have to call it a night because your brain's tired and you're not really going to get much further without having completed a scene. That does suck. But knowing that, first of all, we got the main storyline figured out, as tough as it was, as difficult as it was, especially at the start where it just felt overwhelming, we got there in the end, and I was able to figure out the things I needed to figure out to make the story, interesting and engaging, and it came together in ways that I wasn't expecting it to, and that's awesome because I think that it starts out as kind of like a basic arc, and then as you add more details, it becomes a lot more intricate, and that's what I'm hoping happens with this. I have kind of a basic idea of what I want to do, and I'm hoping that by the time I have all 8 scenes figured out for it across the season, it's going to be a lot more complex than it seems right now. I know that the scene count is staying the same as of right now, but it is primed to go much, much lower once I can kind of let these ideas percolate, let the questions kind of sit in the back of my head, and revisit this either in a couple days or maybe over the course of the next couple weeks. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think I'll get there. No, I don't think I'll get there. I will get there. I've always gotten there in the past. I will do it again. So yeah, I'm feeling great about it. I know I just got to be patient, and I was patient with the main storyline, and I got there. So I can do it again. That being said, I think I'm going to end the video here. I don't know how long it's going to be. I hope it's not crazy long, but I'll end the video here, and we will pick up in another one where I continue working on this new storyline. All right? So I'll see you guys when I make another video.